Morning sunlight came through my kitchen windows, painting long, bright shapes on the wooden floor. Half-unpacked boxes were scattered around the room. I held my coffee mug in one hand and tried to sort through the mail with the other. I was trying hard to act normal in my brand new home, but something felt off. One envelope stood out from all the rest. It wasn't a bill or a postcard. It had big official stamps and marks that made my stomach twist. My hands felt sweaty as I carefully tore it open. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me where are you watching this from, and what time of day is it? The letter said, Darian and Lysandra Solane versus Ismeria Solane. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My coffee mug slipped from my hands and smashed on the floor. Dark coffee soaked into the cracks between the tiles. My hands shook, and my eyes couldn't focus on the letters in front of me. The paper said I had to give my house to my sister, Callista, and pay $300,000. My own parents were suing me. Just 2 weeks ago, I was so proud. I had signed papers to buy this house. The price was $412,000. The real estate agent smiled and said, "You did this all on your own. That's something to be very proud of." That night, I celebrated quietly, just me, some takeout food, and a bottle of champagne I had been saving since I got a promotion at work last year. I walked through the empty rooms, imagining where I would put each piece of furniture. I had planned everything carefully. Everything in this house was mine. Later, I called my grandpa on video. I showed him the living room and said, "Look at this, Grandpa. I did it." His eyes were wet with pride. "You sure did, sweetheart," he said softly. But soon after that, I noticed my family acting strangely. On FaceTime, my parents' faces were stiff and uncomfortable. My sister Callista stood behind them, holding a fancy designer purse and looking annoyed. "How many bedrooms?" my mom asked with a tight, forced smile. 3 and a nice yard," I answered happily. "That's a lot of money for someone your age," my dad said, frowning. Callista leaned closer to the camera. "It must be nice to have that kind of money to spend," she said in a teasing way. "You know your sister is having a hard time," my mom said, looking at me like I was the problem. I should have known then something was coming, but I didn't understand until a week later. "We need to talk about a family matter," my dad said in a serious voice over the phone. My mom wiped her eyes with a tissue. "We always put family first, right? Do we always help each other? Your sister needs stability more than you do. She has plans for your house. You can keep renting," my dad said. I stared at them. "This is my house. I worked for it. Callista can earn her own." "Don't be selfish," my mom snapped. "Family helps family." The very next day, the certified letter arrived. My throat closed up as I read the words again. Aunt Morwen's name was on the lawsuit as the financial helper. There was even an email from Callista claiming I stole her chance. The letter demanded that I give my house to Callista, pay the mortgage for the next 18 months, pay $300,000 for child-rearing costs, write an apology for breaking family trust. I felt my stomach drop. I called my grandpa, who answered immediately. "They've gone too far this time," he said angrily. I spent the next hour searching for lawyers. Retainer fees started at $10,000. That was money I didn't have after paying for the house. I realized I would have to defend myself. That night, I sat alone in my new home, surrounded by boxes I hadn't unpacked. Tears threatened to fall, but I held them back. In their place grew a strong feeling, determination. They wanted my house? The one I had worked 15 years to save for? The one I had earned with overtime shifts and careful budgeting, while they spent money on Callista's projects that didn't work? Let them try. I went to my bedroom window and looked at the quiet street below. This was my home, my achievement, my line I would defend. They chose to attack what I had built. Now I would fight to protect it. I spread my financial documents across the dining table. Sunlight fell between the stacks of bank statements, tax papers, and old receipts. My laptop glowed with a spreadsheet showing 15 years of my financial life. The numbers told a story my family didn't want anyone to see. I remembered when I was 16, working at Morningstar Coffee for $5.25 an hour. Tips were split between 3 people. I could still smell the burnt espresso and feel the ache in my feet after working 8 hours. That night, my mom had texted, "You're missing Callista's Sweet 16. The DJ alone cost a lot of money." I had watched the party unfold on social media, seeing my sister in a pink dress, surrounded by floating lanterns and a chocolate fountain. That party cost about 3 months of my wages. I traced my finger down the list of community college bills, night classes after work, and textbooks I bought used. I remembered my dad's voice saying, "An accounting certificate? That's not even a real degree." I remembered my 18th birthday, not the party, but the argument that came afterward. "What do you mean you won't fill out the FAFSA?" I asked. "You're an adult now. Time to stand on your own feet," my dad said. A week later, I found an apartment listing for $400 a month, roaches included. That was the start of my real independence. In the present, my phone buzzed with my mom's call. I let it go to voicemail. I already knew what she would say. "Sweetheart, we've always given you everything you needed. Why are you being so difficult?" I opened my email and saw a message from my dad from 4 years ago about an emergency root canal. He had said, "Figure it out." Below that, a bank statement showed $2,000 had been sent to Callista that same week for art supplies. Her Instagram showed trips to Paris and Rome, all paid by my parents. Meanwhile, I had been paying off $47,000 in student loans all on my own. Another voicemail popped up, from Aunt Morwen this time. "You selfish girl," she spat. I went online and found that she had been in foreclosure 5 years ago and had been living in my parents' guest house. She wasn't just helping pay for the lawsuit. She had her own plan. A few weeks ago, Callista had been given an eviction notice from her art studio apartment. Everything was lining up perfectly with the lawsuit. Then the doorbell rang. Grandpa was standing there with a cardboard box. "Thought you might need these," he said. Inside were decades of family financial records, carefully organized. "They did the same thing to your cousin Kaylin," he explained, sitting down on the kitchen chair. 10 minutes later, I got a text from Kaylin. "Heard about the lawsuit. Don't let them win." An hour later, my neighbor knocked on the door with a potted plant. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said with a warm smile, even though she probably knew about the family drama. My old boss from Morningstar Coffee sent an email. "Remember that Employee of the Year award? I'm happy to be a character reference." All this support made me feel stronger for the battles to come. The next few days were full of challenges. A certified letter about property liens arrived. Callista posted sad stories on Facebook, making herself look like the victim. Calls came from my parents' country club friends, telling me I should do the right thing and give up my house. Aunt Morwen drove past my house in her shiny silver car 3 times, taking pictures. My boss called about an anonymous concern regarding me. I spent my lunch break carefully filing a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, using everything I had learned online. The court clerk raised her eyebrows when she saw my filing. "This is surprisingly thorough," she said, stamping the papers. The preliminary hearing was set for next month. I requested unpaid leave from work, ignoring my boss's worried look. That evening, I sat on my porch swing, watching the sky turn shades of orange and pink. The sight reminded me of when I was a teenager, walking this same street, promising myself I would have a house someday. My mom had said, "You're dreaming too big." Maybe I was, but I did it anyway. A young family walked past, children chasing fireflies and laughing. I thought about the locksmith coming tomorrow and the security system being installed next week. I wasn't just protecting my house, I was protecting my boundaries. People say blood is thicker than water, but I was learning that sometimes family ties can be chains. Sometimes love means standing firm, even when it hurts. Independence can come at a price, but sometimes it is worth it. I gathered all my documents and went inside, leaving the porch light on. Not for my family, but for the new friends and supporters I was building, one kindness at a time. Next week, I found church letters on my kitchen counter. 3 more prayer requests, asking God to help me with my wayward path, and H's myriad heart. I added them to the pile. My phone buzzed again. Callista posted another Instagram story. She was crying, holding our childhood photo album. "Family means supporting each other no matter what. Broken heart? Family first," she wrote. The post had a timestamp of 3 a.m., obviously made for sympathy. Even though it hurt, I reminded myself, I had worked hard for my house. I had fought for it for 15 years. They couldn't take away my effort, my late nights, my overtime shifts, or my careful budgeting. This was my home. I would stand strong. I went back to the dining table and spread my financial papers again, checking every number, every receipt, every bank transfer. I wrote notes on a pad, making sure I had everything ready for court. I felt a quiet pride as I looked at all the work I had done. This was proof, not just of money, but of my hard work, my independence, and my life. Days passed. Each morning, I checked my mailbox and email for letters, calls, or messages. Sometimes I felt exhausted, but I reminded myself of why I was doing it. This house was more than just walls and a roof. It was the place I had dreamed about for years, the place I had built with my own hands and sweat. Even when the family tried to make me feel guilty or scared, I remembered my grandpa's words. They did the same thing to Kaylin. Don't let them take what you earned. I pictured my younger self, dreaming of a home on this quiet street. I had made that dream real. Every day I told myself, I earned this. I deserve this. I will not give it up. I opened my money notebook, the one I've been keeping since I first worked washing dishes at May's Diner. I was 15 years old then, scrubbing plates late at night while my friends were planning homecoming outfits. My hands got pruned from the water, and my feet hurt so much that sometimes I could barely walk. But May, the owner of the diner, would smile kindly and say, "You're building something, girl. Keep your records neat. Every number tells a story." I didn't understand then how true her words were, but I kept writing everything down in my notebook anyway. I remember my first paycheck, $6.25 an hour, 30 hours a week. I counted carefully and subtracted the money I needed for the bus. I paid for community college while working 3 part-time jobs. I had a small apartment with a leaky roof and a second-hand couch I bought for $40. Mom came to visit once and asked, "You really live like this?" Her eyes looked at all my thrift store furniture, arranged neatly. I remember feeling proud, even though my apartment was tiny and not fancy. My notebook keeps going. Every month I saved $200, then $300 as I got better jobs after earning certificates. I carefully saved every extra penny, so I could one day buy a house of my own. Every little receipt, every paycheck, every bus ticket, everything went in the notebook. It wasn't just numbers, it was my life, my hard work, and my dreams written down. One day there's a knock at the door. I look through the security camera Grandpa installed and see Mrs. Marigold from 2 houses down. She smiles and holds up a paper bag. "Thought you might need lunch," she says kindly. I wave and feel grateful. The little things from neighbors like Mrs. Marigold make life feel safer. Orrin, our neighbor, is watching the street today from 3 to 6 p.m. The neighbors take turns watching because Aunt Morwen's Mercedes has been visiting our street a lot lately. Their quiet help feels like a shield during days when I feel nervous about what might happen next. One Tuesday, I got a news notification on my phone. It's about Callista, my sister. She's in the local paper and she's saying our family story is wrong. The article shows her in her old studio apartment, surrounded by half-finished paintings. She looks proud, posing like an artist who has done something amazing. Then my phone rings. It's Kaylin. "Did you see the records?" he asks. "The family says you owe them money, but the numbers match Aunt Morwen's foreclosure exactly." My stomach twists. I know what he's talking about. Someone is trying to trick me, using lies about money and family. I go to Whole Foods to buy vegetables. When I walk in, I freeze. Callista is there, wearing big sunglasses and standing in front of the organic produce. She sees me and yells, "Well, if it isn't the family trader." People nearby turn to look. I keep calm and pick tomatoes. "Hello, Callista," I say. "You always thought you were better than us." She steps closer. "With your boring job and your precious notebooks, you know what that house could be." I look at her carefully. "And how would you pay the mortgage? The taxes?" She waves her hand like it's nothing. "Oh, that part would still be your responsibility, since you're so good with money." Her lip curls. "Unlike some of us who follow our dreams." "Ma'am?" The store manager comes over. "Is everything okay?" Callista's voice gets louder and louder. She's trying to act dramatic. My own sister is yelling, trying to make me look bad. I leave my cart and walk calmly toward the exit. The manager gives me a knowing look, like he understands what's really happening. Back home, I spread out the papers Grandpa gave me. These are my parents' financial records. They show that Callista's $90,000 student loans were paid in full, plus a $25,000 loan for her failed pottery studio. Their house, already paid for. All of it. I also find old emails. Aunt Morwen had written, "Time to teach Ismiria a lesson before she gets too independent." My hands shake as I sort through all the papers for court. The room spins with memories. I'm 5 years old again, watching Mom take my crayon drawing off the refrigerator. Callista needed space for her watercolor painting, Mom had said. I remember feeling small and invisible that day. There's a gentle knock at the door. Grandpa enters carrying a photo album. "Found these in the attic," he says. "Your grandmother kept everything." I sit beside him and look at the photos. They tell a different story than the one Callista is telling. There's me at every minimum wage job, proudly holding my first paychecks. Certificates for perfect attendance. My community college graduation, with Grandma smiling beside me. She saw you, Grandpa says softly. She knew what you were building. Tears blur my eyes as I stand in front of the bathroom mirror practicing my court statement. My voice sounds stronger than I feel. I am not responsible for supporting adult family members who refuse to support themselves, I say. I straighten my blazer, the one I bought on sale last year, carefully recorded in my budget notebook. The security cameras blink steadily. Evidence binders stand ready, each document telling its own truth. Aunt Morwen's Mercedes passes by again, but I don't flinch. Some sacrifices make us stronger, even when they break our hearts. I touch the small photo of Grandma I will carry tomorrow. She understood the price of independence and the courage it takes to choose yourself. Tomorrow I'll tell my truth. Tonight I fortify my walls. Not with bricks, but with 15 years of carefully documented sacrifice and the quiet strength of those who believe in earning their own way. The next day, the courthouse steps shine in the morning sun. I hold my leather case full of all my receipts and records from 15 years. Each step feels important. The glass doors reflect my image: navy blazer, pressed pants, simple jewelry, ready and professional. I am very different from the first time I came to the courthouse at 16, shaking and asking for work papers. Oh, perfect timing. Callista's voice rings across the lobby. My family stands together, all wearing white t-shirts under jackets. Mom wipes her smudged mascara. Dad's lawyer arranges papers carefully. Aunt Morwen smirks. Last chance to avoid embarrassment, Aunt Morwen whispers. I keep walking. My heels click steadily on the marble floor. The security guard nods as I go through the metal detector. My heartbeat is steady, even with their stares. The courtroom feels smaller than I expected. Wood panels make the sounds softer. I arrange my papers carefully, each tab color-coded and labeled. The system that earned eye rolls at family dinners now protects me. Everyone stands as Judge Amaranth comes in. She looks at both sides and then at my papers. Interesting filing, she says. Please proceed. Dad's lawyer stands. Your Honor, this case is about family duty. The Solane family invested about $300,000 raising their daughter. Objection, I say. Irrelevant. Standard child care costs don't make me owe money, I explain. Judge Amaranth agrees. Counsel, proceed with actual claims, she says. Mom takes the stand. She cries and says we gave everything for our daughters. How can she abandon us now that she's successful? I follow my notes while she talks. Each accusation lands softer than the last, because I have proof of my life. Dad testifies next. In our family, children support their parents. It's understood. Judge Amaranth interrupts. When was this agreement made? Traditional, he says. Implied. Your Honor, I say. Did you help Callista pay for her education? Objection, their lawyer says. Irrelevant. Judge Amaranth allows it. Dad shifts uncomfortably. Callista needed help with her artistic gifts. I show Exhibit C. Bank statements proving $90,000 in student loans paid for Callista's art degree, plus $25,000 for her pottery studio. Callista testifies next. Tears flowed from her eyes. The house would be perfect for my healing art cafe, she says. Ismiria would handle the mortgage and taxes. The judge asks, what is your current job? Callista sniffs. I'm between projects. My art needs emotional space. I stand and show 15 years of pay stubs, rent receipts, and college transcripts. I started working at 15, Your Honor. Every job and every penny is accounted for. I paid my own way through community college while working 3 jobs. The down payment for my house came from 15 years of careful saving. I received no support from my parents. Aunt Morwen yells, ungrateful girl. Judge Amaranth silences everyone. She studies my documents and then asks my parents, would you make these demands if both daughters were struggling financially? No one answers. I've heard enough, she says. This case has no legal merit. Houses bought independently stay independent. Case dismissed with prejudice. Aunt Morwen screams. Court security escorts her out. Callista collapses in the hallway. Court staff step around her calmly. She calls, you'll regret choosing money over family. I pause at the courthouse doors. Sunlight streams through the glass. Mom yells, how could you do this to us? The weight pressing against my chest for months finally lifts. I see Grandpa's truck outside. You okay, kid? He asks as I climb in. I watch my biological family on the steps, their matching shirts a bright blur in the rearview mirror. I think I finally am, I say. Grandpa smiles softly. Your grandmother would be proud. She always said you had the strength to build your own path. The streets look different, clearer, like after a storm. Each carefully earned mile brings me closer to home, my safe, protected home. The photo of Grandma in my pocket seems warm. She understood the price of independence and the courage it takes to choose yourself. Some sacrifices make us stronger, even when they break our hearts. Hard boundaries can become the strongest foundations. The security system chimes as I enter my home. 3 days after the court win, the quiet feels different, stronger, and fortified. My phone buzzes. Another GoFundMe notification from Callisto appears. My sister stole my future. Help an artist heal. Her story makes my stomach hurt. I screenshot it for my lawyer, then silence notifications. The lies sting, but I know the truth. She tried to play the victim, but I have proof. Kaylin texts, "Did you see the email?" I take a deep breath. I know the fight isn't over everywhere, but at least for now I am safe, independent, and my home is mine. Grandma would be proud. Some sacrifices strengthen us, even as they break our hearts. Some boundaries we set are the strongest walls we will ever have. And for the first time in years, I feel free. My cousin Varel, who usually stays quiet about family matters, suddenly became my friend. I never expected it. She had always been shy and careful about getting involved, but now she wanted to help me. Uncle Darian and Aunt Lysandra really went too far this time. That morning, I got a big email they sent to all our family. It said that I was mean, selfish, and that I didn't care about my family. Every paragraph was written to make me feel alone and small. I stared at the screen for a long time. I saw it and wanted to reply, but I knew it wouldn't help. It felt familiar. I have been here before. Years ago, when my little business started doing well, they did something similar. They called me ungrateful and tried to get me to give them money. They wanted me to invest in their ideas, even when it didn't make sense. I wished I had stood up for myself back then, like I did now. That night, my security alarm beeped again. The little red light blinked on my app. Motion detected. My heart skipped a beat. I opened the app and looked. I saw Aunt Morwen's shiny Mercedes slowly driving past my house. It was the third time tonight. My stomach sank. At midnight, the camera caught her walking to my front door. In her hand, she had a spray paint can that glinted in the porch light. She started yelling, "You ungrateful little," but then stopped. She saw she was being recorded. She quickly shoved the paint can into her fancy designer bag and ran away. But before she left a bright red streak across my new door. My beautiful, clean door. I called the police right away. They came fast. "We have clear video," said the officer as he watched the footage on his tablet. "Do you want to press charges?" I sat on my porch thinking about family dinners, holiday gatherings, and all the rules and loyalty in our family. It was confusing. I wanted to keep the peace, but I also wanted safety. I knew I needed a restraining order. Next week, I would go to the courthouse. My stomach felt nervous, but I also felt a spark of determination. Fear turned into determination. I walked into the clerk's office with my paperwork. The clerk raised her eyebrows when she saw the family names on the forms. Judge Amaranth would remember the situation from before. The temporary restraining order came immediately, backed up by the police officer's testimony and my security footage. Each signature I saw felt like a victory, but also like a little loss. I was protecting my future but leaving some of my past behind. I wasn't the only one. Others had gone through this too. Mrs. Chun, our old neighbor, told me over coffee. Her letter said she had seen 20 years of family problems. She explained that my father had demanded money from his brother before he got sick. My aunt had always been jealous of my mother's marriage. Money was often used to control people. Grandfather helped me understand even more while we worked on his truck together. He wiped his hands on a rag and said quietly, "Your grandmother set aside money for college for both of you girls, but your parents redirected it." He kept his hands steady on the wrench, but his voice shook a little. "They called it investing in Callista's gift. That's why she left you the house money separately in her will," he added. His voice was calm, but I could feel the weight behind it. The day for the permanent restraining order came quickly. The matching shirts and carefully polished smiles were gone from my family. Now they wore subtle designer clothes and acted humble in a way that wasn't real. Their new lawyer said I was mean and unbalanced. "Your Honor," I said, standing tall. I had organized all my evidence carefully. I let the facts speak for themselves. The security footage played. Police reports showed workplace disruptions, family members trying to bypass security by claiming fake emergencies, the GoFundMe screenshots, and the email campaign. It was all there, clear as day. "Enough," said Judge Amaranth. The restraining order was granted and expanded to include digital harassment. Any violation would have immediate consequences. That evening, the local newspaper ran the story. The family property lawsuit was dismissed. The restraining order was approved. Callista's GoFundMe was removed and reported for fraud. Messages started coming in from extended family. They shared support, similar experiences, and quiet solidarity. My cousin Varel called. "Grandfather told me over dinner, she's proud of you. Other people are starting to speak up about what they've been through too." I watched him season potatoes with care, just like he always did. He had taught me to be patient and careful while working in his garage, fixing engines and sharing life wisdom. "Does it get easier?" I asked. "Choosing yourself?" He set down his fork. "Sometimes family is who you build, not who you are born into," he said. My grandmother knew this. That's why she left me those tools in her will. Later, I finished my nightly security routine. Doors locked, cameras active, systems armed. The red paint on the door was gone, but its memory remained. It was a reminder that I had earned and protected my boundaries. In my journal, I wrote about protecting what I had earned and mourning what I never had. The family I wanted existed only in my dreams. The family I have now, people who tell the truth, act kindly, and care about each other, are the foundation for something real. My phone buzzed with a text from Kaylin. "Dinner next week? Varel and her kids want to meet at that new place downtown." I smiled and typed back, "Count me in." The security system beeped softly. Everything was safe. Outside, I watched the sunset paint the Giasmiria in gold. My grandmother's roses, transplanted from her yard, bloomed stubbornly against the fence. Some things grow stronger when forced to put down deep roots. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, in the house I earned and defended, I felt anchored in truth. Some victories carry grief, but they make room for new growth, new connections, and new definitions of family. I turned off the lights, leaving one porch light on, a habit I learned from my grandmother. Some traditions are worth keeping. The next morning, sunlight streamed into my kitchen. I measured coffee grounds just like grandfather taught me. 2 scoops per cup. Since the restraining order, my weekends had found a calm rhythm. Maples, my rescue dog, trotted to the back door. She was half golden retriever and probably a mix of many other breeds, according to the shelter. She had her own routine now. She knew Mrs. Chun next door would be out Giasmiriaing and ready with treats and gentle conversation. "Just a minute, girl," I said while checking the security app. The system was still active but quieter. No more midnight alerts, no more documenting every passing car. The cameras were silent sentinels, not constant reminders. The smell of the workshop hit me as I entered. Sawdust, engine oil, and fresh coffee mingled together. Grandfather was already there, setting up for our Sunday project. We were building a big dining room table, large enough for the growing circle of people who actually wanted to be here. "Morning, kiddo," he said, arranging clamps with precision. "Thought we'd finish the leg joints today." I handed him his coffee, black with 2 sugars. Kaylin and Varel would bring their kids later to help sand the table. We worked in comfortable silence, measuring and cutting carefully. Through the open garage door, I watched neighborhood children chase each other past my fence. Their parents used to hurry them along when the lawsuit made headlines. Now they waved and let the kids stop to pet Maple. Grandfather suddenly asked, "Saw your father yesterday at Marigold's Hardware." I kept my hand steady on the wood. "Age 10 years, I'd say," I answered. He adjusted his grip on the plane. Lysandra was there too. She kept looking at throw pillows like they held the answers to life. I remembered the designer pillows in their perfect house. Callista would rearrange them when she was stressed. I had secretly tracked our family's spending in spreadsheets back then. "Is Callista still in Oregon?" I asked. "Yes, some artist collective," I said. "Your aunt isn't doing well either," he added. "High blood pressure, according to gossip at church." The wood grain beneath my fingers told a story. Growth rings marked seasons of plenty and want, strength built through adversity. We shaped it carefully, honoring its natural character while making something new. Later, as the autumn sun warmed the backyard, friends gathered for what had become our tradition, the Sunday potluck. Kaylin kids ran around while Maple played referee. Varel set up lawn games. My coworker Celine, who had stood by me during the worst of the lawsuit, arranged flowers from her Giasmiria. "Hard to believe it's been a year," she said, stepping back to admire her work. "A year since I bought this house." Empty rooms had once echoed with possibility and threat. Now every space had a purpose. My home office for projects, the workshop for learning patience, the Giasmiria for sharing wisdom with Mrs. Chen. Grandfather tapped his glass to get attention. To this home, he said simply, and to the woman who built it. Not just with wood and nails, but with courage and truth. Maple barked happily. Kid sneaked her bits of hot dog. That evening, after dishes and leftovers were distributed, I joined Grandfather on the porch swing. Maple sprawled at our feet, tired from playing with the children. You didn't just protect your house, he said quietly. You defended your worth. Through the windows, I saw the dining room table we were building. It was still unfinished, but already promising. Like everything worthwhile, it took time and care. Some prices are worth paying for peace, I said. The stars appeared as night fell, casting gentle light over my transformed home. Inside, Celine and Varel were setting up board games, their laughter drifting through the screen doors. Kalen helped his youngest with homework at the kitchen counter. Mrs. Chen's lights glowed next door, her silhouette visible as she watered her evening primrose. My phone buzzed. A young analyst I was mentoring texted me. She was leaving her financially abusive marriage. You showed me it's possible, she wrote. I thought of the scared woman I had been in Judge Amarant's courtroom. She was still there, stronger, surrounded by people who recognized her strength and added their own to it. The security system chimed softly. It no longer made me anxious. It reminded me of boundaries earned, peace protected, and love shared. Maple lifted her head as the neighbor's teenager came to ask if she could walk her tomorrow. Same time as usual? She asked. Perfect, I answered. Another small thread in the tapestry of normal life, woven from trust and consistency. Grandfather squeezed my shoulder as he headed inside to claim his favorite armchair, the one we had refinished together, now permanently in the living room. His tools lived in my garage. His wisdom lived in my daily choices. Inside, the game night was getting competitive. Outside, crickets tuned up for their evening symphony. On the porch, in this space between what was and what is, I breathed in peace. Some say family is who you are born to. I've learned it's who you choose to become, and who chooses to witness your becoming with love and respect. Every laugh from my living room, every wave from a neighbor, every shared meal, project, and quiet moment. These are the true measures of home. The stars wheeled overhead, constant as truth, bright as possibility. Tomorrow will bring new challenges. But tonight, in this house I earned, shared, and filled with real connection, I am exactly where I need to be. Family isn't just blood and obligation. It's the people who celebrate your growth while respecting your boundaries. In my experience, that is what builds the strongest foundations.